Good evening. Journalists never try to use anonymous sources unless absolutely necessary, especially with the addition of Barry Weiss at CBS. News like this hasn't exactly come out recently. Thank you for everyone who has been supporting us. Thank you all new subscribers. Welcome to Divided America. I am George Siska. Now, tonight is a very veteran-focused show, but I've also got an answer for you all later from an official on a cannabis question that we've asked here months ago. We submitted a question. We received an answer. We're going to be going into that later. And before we dive into the show, we also have to briefly mention the First Lady's impromptu speech saying she has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And and then ever since that, the president has gone on a tirade on his social network. I will do much more reporting on these developments as they come along. Now, we need answers from brave troops in our U.S. military right now. I'm willing to protect you as a source, as I did during the Brown University shootings. A student reached out to me, and there's so much misinformation being thrown around about this poor kid, and because of that, we need trusted voices. I want to be one of your trusted voices. I'm gonna play a quick video from Pete Hegseth. Now, for the TikTok viewers, please watch it on either YouTube or on siskanews.com/live. Let's see what Mr. Hegseth said about our casualties.
And then, as it pertains to the U.S. casualties, that particular incident was, you have air defenses and the lot's coming in and you hit most of it. And we absolutely do. We have incredible air defenders. Every once in a while, you might have one, unfortunately, we call it a squirter that makes its way through. And in that particular case, it happened to hit a tactical operations center that was fortified, but these are powerful weapons. So we certainly will do, as I said, moments like that as we remember them and we take care of them and take care of their families, only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we do this properly.
Thank you.
We played this specific video for context of what's coming next. This is a direct quote from one of the injured soldiers. Directly contradicts what's being said at that podium. Quote, painting a picture that one squeaked through is a falsehood, one of the injured soldiers told CBS News. I want people to know the unit was unprepared to provide any defense for itself. It was not a fortified position. Who are you going to believe? A former Fox News host that suddenly is in charge of the entire military and fired a well-respected Army Chief of Staff during a time of war just recently? Or are we going to believe soldiers that were just bombed? If you don't believe me, check out Randy George's career. Randy George is the former Army Chief of Staff. He's a bit more qualified than Petey. I urge everyone, if you're watching this, to please read the CBS article. It's devastating. The soldier goes on. It's not my intent to diminish morale or disparage the Army or the Department of War more holistically. But I do think that telling the truth is important, and we're not going to learn from these mistakes if we pretend these mistakes didn't happen, one soldier said. When we invaded Iraq in 2003, we, the military intelligence, we patrolled at night with unarmored Humvees just begging to get shot at. Those missions remind me of the night patrols our Vietnam brethren had to complete because someone in charge said that they needed to clear that village. It wouldn't surprise me that all of our bases were not fortified enough for counterattacks. It's been a while since I've personally been in Kuwait. The bases we stayed on weren't exactly built up like, fortresses. CBS was able to get a picture of the wreckage. I have to warn viewers, if you're watching this if you're watching this, please be aware there's that it's graphic. So I'm going to show it quickly, and you're going to see. Well, that's not the right picture. There it is. You can see the concrete barriers to the side, but as the source said, there's no protection from above. And if you really zoom in on the picture, sure, there's concrete on the side, but that it's a small tin and wood shelter. It's virtually nothing. Have our troops learned from the Ukrainian army, as they've been dealing with these drones for years now, right? So this is one drone that just killed a massive amount of Americans. 6 is massive in my opinion. 1 is massive. But that's 6 that we know of. That's 6 that we've been told. I asked this question actively to members of the military. Feel free to reach out to me, because I have a weird feeling that we're not getting the total numbers, the true casualties. I'm seeing reports about the hospital in Germany that had a women and infants section that just shut down recently. I'd love to get answers, boots on the ground in Germany. If you can, reach out to me on Signal, reach out to me via email, any of the socials. I'm on pretty much everywhere. Now, I could be wrong, but Pam Bondi was the last person to go from this administration. I'm starting to have a feeling it's time for Hegseth to go, and he's going to be the next fall guy for this horrible war that we've taken on. There are some news organizations that thrive on being first and sending as much information as possible. We at the Siska News Network do not consider that considerably news. If anything, it's stenography for the elite. Now, let me be clear. News agencies can cover whatever they want and whoever they want. Statements from elected officials, candidates, police reports, all public domain, and it's frankly too much news. But journalists' jobs are to dissect what is being told to us and then report what is factual. At least that's what I've learned from school. The stress to be neutral, I believe, is self-harming and killing the profession. For example, one of our exercises in journalism school is to dissect the press release from a local town to see what is newsworthy and what is not. But we're also not going to be misinterpreted from the facts. With this in mind, would Israel really agree to Iran having full control of the Strait of Hormuz? Because if not, then all of the reporting that's coming from the White House press corps is fugazi. How could it not? How could it not be? It's either one or the other, right? It can't be. The Iran could not have agreed to not. It can't be both ways. It can't. Israel can't say we're going to keep lobbing things into Lebanon, or they're not part of the plan, and then they decided to kill a large amount of Lebanese people. It's a small country with a lot of people in it, and they shot roughly 100 missiles at them. And I don't want to sound anti-American at all. I hope it doesn't sound anti-American. Like I said, I fought for our country, and I want to bring up something very, very poignant. At least what I've seen is we in the world are not exactly liked. Right? If we go to another country in Europe, we go to the Middle East, we say we're an American. We really they're looking for us. They're not happy. The world is not happy with us. During the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, the world was also really mad at us. That they thought that we were fighting with Russia and we were bringing too much stress, and because we thought we were going to get nuked, and but there was no evidence, right? There's no, like, people were like, well, show us, show us. Russia was sitting at the UN at their meetings lying, just blatantly lying, because you could in the 50s. Well, this was the 60s, but you just could. You didn't have the technology that you have today to prove or to disprove some of the crap that comes out of our leaders' mouths. So Adlai Stevenson, he was the U.S. ambassador, and while the Russians were sitting there just lying, and then Adlai showed secret satellite images of the Russian missiles that were in Cuba during this time. Now, most of this information is in a great movie called 13 Days. If you can put up with the Massachusetts accents, I've watched it at least a dozen times. So it's locked into the long-term memory. I'm talking about this straight from memory, and my short-term memory is not so good. So we'll be discussing pod after the break. But the long-term is there, and this is all. So Adlai Stevenson, Ambassador Stevenson, had to show the world our classified pictures because Russia was lying. Why can't we do the same about Iran? Right? Wasn't that the thing? We were going in for weapons of mass destruction, for uranium, to close the strait. There was the goalposts shifted nonstop. Do you feel safer? Because I don't feel safer. Do you feel safer? If you feel safer, I really feel glad for you. Because right now, I feel like we're not getting anything close to the truth from Washington. Now, after a very quick break, we're going to have a new segment called Information for Veterans. Name subject to change. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about a couple more subjects. Some of you know our mascot, Chewy. He is the social one of the Siska News Network. He loves to meet our neighbors. He loves to go on walks. Me, on the other hand, I'm more of a homebody, but these conversations, they're awkward, but they lead to helping out folks. After World War II, America created the GI Bill to help veterans go to school. 40 years later, Congress updated it to the Montgomery GI Bill. I don't know if you know anything about American history. Well, wow, that is not written right. I apologize 100%. I do not know where my train of thought went with that, but that is not right. But the point where I was going was the Montgomery GI Bill is what we would put money into when I was a soldier, and then we would be able to use that money to go to school. Now, when we got out of the service, now it was upgraded in the 2008 when President George Bush signed the post 9/11 GI Bill. He signed it into law, and that one pays in-state tuition at public colleges for full. And it also gives a housing and book stipend, commonly known in veteran circles as BAH. Now, I've talked with other veterans in this area that have used Chapter 33, and it's truly changed their lives. There's one is a business owner locally here in Cumberland. He's going back to school again, like yours truly, using some of the similar benefits. Now, there's a different bill called Chapter 31, and that focuses on vocational rehab. Now, that law wasn't as powerful as it was back then, but now in 2010, it added the BAH, which allowed school being basically a primary source of income. The crux of both of these chapters is serving in a time of war. If you served in a time of war, then you are going to be able to get these benefits. I stress this to anybody that's been overseas or or served recently. Like you've served during a time of war, which means that you are not just entitled, you deserve these benefits. You should go to your local VA rep, go to your local uh, post, your VFW post, your American Legion. There's If you're struggling or if you just want change in your life, just take advantage of these programs. And also shout out on TikTok to Tales from the Core. He hosts a live TikTok in about an hour and 45 minutes from now at 9:45 Eastern every single night. It's just a place to hang out. It's pretty cool. He's always talking to vets, always having vet stuff. Just a very cool place for if you're just feeling alone, if you're just not feeling right. There's always answers. It's talking from a vet that I wasn't in the best headspace in 2008, 2009 when I went into school. And now I just think about the life change and what it could do for you. If I didn't have a family, what would have happened to me? It's kind of scary to think about, like where my life was actually going. But I'm lucky enough to have the benefits and a family and an incredible wife that allows me to do this. Thank you. And while I'm doing this, I get to ask questions to the people in power, and that's one of the things I really like doing. Like I like asking people uncomfortable questions because they should be able to answer them. Now, in the beginning of the show, I mentioned that I reached out to a local authority. We reached out to the Rhode Island Cannabis Control Commission with some specific questions and did not get exactly a solid response from the people in charge. I'm gonna read the questions specifically to you. Are we wrong to assume that in November 2026, all THC products with a level of zero point 0.4 grams will need to be pulled off the shelf? And I said, won't this decimate cannabis sales in Rhode Island and other surrounding areas? How are stores supposed to start packing their products? Have stores been notified? And the way the answer it's so legalese, but if you actually read it, she's agreeing with the New York Times analysis, my analysis. The commission said, as written, that change would have a substantial impact on the current hemp-derived cannabinoid market, as many of the products today exceed that threshold. Yeah, no shit. That's what I said. However, there are still important unknowns. Federal agencies, including the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, have not yet issued full guidance on key definitions and implementations. Yeah, they're busy. Right? They're too busy to get this to flesh out the law. What I'm reading, what she says is there are still many unknowns. But what we do know is that the law, as written, will change when you walk into a dispensary, this law will completely decimate these. I've talked about this a few times now on the show. I've brought it up numerous times in meetings, and I just don't know how to convey how devastating this will be to certain communities. I have no vested interest in any dispensaries whatsoever, except that I'm a smoker. That's the only interest I have in this, is that I think that it's insane that the federal government would completely change the rule. Well, we've talked about this and how Mitch McConnell snuck this crap into the big beautiful bill. It's disgusting. It's disgusting sometimes how something like someone that can barely walk will sneak something into a bill that even in the same state they don't want. Rand Paul is very against this, very against them changing the rules overnight. And what I find interesting from the answer from the Cannabis Control Commission is is they haven't been issued full guidance from the Food and Drug Administration. Like, what, you can't make up your own, like, so if you get nothing from them and you read the law, what you said, so everybody agrees. Point 4 is the new level. If point 4 is the new level, then everything's got to go. All those drinks, all the vapes, all the edibles, everything's got to go. And I'm not into that. Last, but certainly not least for tonight. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. A blowhard. A blowhard trying to make his name on the political commentary circuit. Not me. Stephen A. I don't know if you'll ever watch this or if you'll ever get to see this. But I used to watch your show somewhat often on First Take, and one of your biggest arguments was that you did the work, right? You were a journalist before you were a commentator. You were in the locker rooms, right? You were there. I did the work. Have you done political journalism? If not, shut your damn mouth. I see you talking about Mamdani and with Bill Maher. Have you done the work? I've done the work. That's why I'm sitting here talking. I'm not talking about debate. I'm not debating on whether LeBron should wear a black or clear mask. Right? I'm not asking Colonel Perez of Providence Police during the Brown murders, what does he think about the color of the sky, or some mundane question that you guys ask on that show. I used to love the show for entertainment value, but when it comes to educational value, no. And then now you think that you're just gonna talk about being president or talk about like something about politics. Stick to sports, right? Have a good night. This was fun. Next week, I'm not going to be here, so it'll be a little hard to do a complete show. I will still go. I'll go live. Maybe I'll go live. I'm not going to be in this state, so it'll be tough. But if not, I'm still going to be around on socials. I'm still reporting every single day and night. So please reach out. Thank you again for all the new followers. If you want to never miss a thing, please hit the like button, the follow button, subscribe button, however you digest our content. Have a great night. See you soon.